Thank you, Ahmed, for presenting me, and I'm honored and very glad to be with you all today, Omnia and Asya and all participants, discussing this significant topic, and I'll focus on the human rights impacts of climate change in Africa, especially in East and West Africa. So we know that climate change has affected millions of people all over the globe. In particular, human rights in the Horn of Africa. In the Horn of Africa region, which have been experiencing a lot of violations because of unpredictable environmental conditions, particularly exacerbated by climate change disasters. Consequently, issues like land degradation, recurrent and prolonged drought periods, flash floods, and desertification pose formidable challenges that are linked to permanent or temporary human rights migration. Although migration is a coping strategy to deal with climate change events and shocks, nevertheless, such migration may increase human vulnerability and socioeconomic insecurity. In addition, climate refugees lack legal protection, especially when they have to, cross the borders or the state borders. And Somalia is facing a serious drought as water and the pasture resources are depleting every day, and they're resulting in people abandoning their homes with their livestock to search for better conditions. And according to data from the Protection and the Monitoring Returns Network, over 1 million people were displaced by floods, conflict, and the drought in Somalia last year, 2020, which is the highest figures recorded since 2016. Also, more than 1 million Somalians were displaced in 2020 alone. And unfortunately, 112,000 people have been displaced in the first 3 months of 2020 alone, of whom 34% were uprooted because of drought.
مريم, just a word of warning, we lost your presentation. مريم, can you hear me?
Yes, 1 minute. Okay, I will continue because I can't open it again.
No problem, no problem.
Okay. Drought will most likely to be a driving factor displacing many Somalians this year due to the poor performance of seasonal rains, as drought conditions are spreading throughout the country against the backdrop of high levels of forced displacement. And now I will move to the West African side. Lake Chad was once one of the largest water bodies on the planet, and due to climatic variability, climate change and human pressure on water resources and in its basin over recent decades, the lake has shrunk by 90%, and it has been facing droughts to today. And now the region is facing one of the greatest humanitarian crises. In late 2017, more than 7 million people suffering from severe food insecurity, and more than 2 million people have been displaced by the conflict in the region. The current crisis is triggered by armed conflict linked to armed opposition groups such as Boko Haram in Cameroon, Chad, Niger, and Nigeria, and also Islamic State in West Africa. Boko Haram's presence in Chad has been most strongly felt around Lake Chad, which lies primarily within the Chadian area. The area combines rich agriculture, pastoralism, and fishing, which is a magnet for migrants from all over the Sahel, leading to tensions over control of resources. Boko Haram has taken advantage of the geography of the lake, seeking to refuge on its many islands. And since early 2015, attacks in Chad by the Nigerian jihadist group Boko Haram have been killed hundreds, displaced more than 100,000, and damaged the regional economy of the Lake Chad basin. And violence peaked in 2015 with suicide bombings in the capital and also in the Lake Chad region. And we all know that developed countries consume more global energy and contribute more to a global emission than African developing countries, and of course affect human rights. So I'll just give maybe 3 key recommendations. First, I think we need to increase global collaboration to integrate human rights into environmental laws and policies, and ensure that the governments implementing these laws. And also, we need to support the inclusion of civil society in environmental decision-making processes, and also access to information, effective remedies for victims, as civil society plays a vital role in observing the implementation of environmental, local and international laws, and also SDGs agenda. And I think we need to assess the human rights mechanisms to address environmental issues, including climate change, and calling governments to implement Paris Agreement. Thank you, Ahmed, and I am here to answer any questions.
Well, I thank you, مريم. You provided very concrete examples that focused on the nexus between human rights and climate change in Africa, and it was very interesting how both presentations complemented each other in a sense. So I thank you very much for that.